Welcome to the Salt Lake Fitness Podcast, Salt Lake Pod for short. I'm Nat.
And I'm Christy. And this is your space for salty stories, sweaty workouts, and improving crew sanity at sea.
Hi guys, and welcome to the Salt Lake Pod. We are here today with Nick Santana from Grand Yacht Crew. I'm Nat and...
I'm Christy, and it's so nice to have you on, Nick. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, girls. I'm really excited about this one. It's going to be really cool.
You're not wrong about that. It's going to be great. So today we're calling in from a few different places. Christy is in Brisbane, if I'm not mistaken, and we have Nick in Adelaide. So two from the Australian coast down there, and I'm in the UK. So we're all on different time zone. I think I'm starting my day and you guys might be ending your day.
Yeah, that's right. It's very rare we've got two from Australia, so represent.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, finally. So to kickstart today's episode off, we're going to be talking a little bit about you, Nick. We want to get to know a bit more about you and how you got into yachting and your background into the yachting industry. Do you want to go ahead and just start with that and tell us about how you entered this industry?
Yeah, sure. So, you can probably tell by my accent, I'm English. So before I moved to Australia, I was in the Royal Navy and I did about 8 years in the Navy, traveling the world, working on different warships. And as I progressed through the ranks, I kind of got to a point in my career where I was like, right, I'm ready for something new. The military life is quite demanding and taxing, and got to a point in my career where I was like looking at my future and I was like, oh, I don't really like the look of this. I've already done most of this and I just wanted a new challenge. And then when I decided to leave the Navy, I was like, well, what next? I didn't necessarily want to go back to my hometown in Blackpool. So I was like, right, what options do I have? I had family who lived in Adelaide, where I am now, and they were a bit of my inspiration to kind of take the leap of faith across to Australia. And then as I traveled across, I was looking into yachting as like a transferable career change. And I probably wasn't the wisest move moving to Australia to get into yachting, which I definitely know now through the lessons learned. But yeah, I basically got a working holiday, moved over to Australia, and then I got working on yachts in Gold Coast. And it all just spread on from there, basically. I've been in the industry now about 3.5 years, 4 years, so still relatively new, and I guess my career trajectory has changed over the past 2 years because I started Grand Yacht Crew, and I've leaned more into entrepreneurship than I have through progressing the ranks in yachting, I guess. So it's been a journey, and I've done yachting all over Australia now and in Europe as well. I just kind of jumping to and fro. But yeah, now I'm really locked in, and I'd consider myself an ex-yachty now because I'm all in on my business and being a CEO, which is a new chapter. So yeah, that's the overview. But yeah, I basically left the Navy and then joined yachting.
Yeah, what an interesting progression and pathway to join yachting. It's very different to the usual go to Antibes, dock walk.
Driving tenders like, oh, how do you drive this thing?
Yeah, how do I do this? And also on the Gold Coast in Australia, the yachting industry in Australia, for those that don't know, is very different to that of the US or Europe. It's much smaller. It's a bit more of a niche. We don't have the big boats like we do overseas yet. I think the industry is definitely growing, and I'm sure you probably have more information on that than we do. But to get jobs on the Gold Coast and progress to where you now own Grand Yacht Crew, and your reach is enormous, and you're touching base with yachties all over the world, not just in Australia, in such a short amount of time. It's extremely impressive.
Thank you. It's been hard to say the least, but it's been exciting. Like, I think along the way, I've kind of, jumped between Gold Coast, Sydney, Europe, started in Italy, Greece, Croatia, and it's just been fast paced and moving. And, instead of like some people jump on a yacht and they stay on that boat for years, whereas I kind of went season to season. The beauty of that is you get to meet so many amazing people along the way. And also with today's day and age, like you're only a FaceTime away from connecting with people. So yeah, I've been very fortunate, and Grand Yacht Crew being the project it is, it's all about collaboration. And, I'm in partnership with you guys and so many other amazing people. And what we're working on this year is really exciting. So I'm very grateful, and just I'm excited to see where it goes. If this is what I could do in 3 years, God, where am I going to be in 3 years from now? That's the exciting. So yeah, it's cool.
That is really exciting. I think looking at that vision as well, just knowing where you've come from in this short space of 3 years, because building a business it's tough. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it, right? And to be successful in it's very difficult. And they always say that it takes 5 years for a business to be seen and kind of like you start yielding the profits from then. But to see the
Yeah.
growth that you have within 3.5
Mm.
years is
Yeah.
incredible. So kudos to you on what you're doing and how you're collaborating with people. I mean, you're a really nice, genuine person, and I think that's also why you make these connections so easily. So yeah, kudos to you on that.
Thank you. Yeah, so with the like the collaborations, like I find I had this idea, and I feel like a few years ago when I started talking about it, everyone was saying the same thing. We all knew the industry needed something that's going to bring us all together and connect us, and something easier to find support and jobs. It was just there. I just saw it, and I was like, you know what? Everyone's talking about it. I'm just going to build it. And it's taking that leap of faith, and like what you said, it's not easy to build a business. There's a lot of entrepreneurs that'll probably watch this who are in yachting, and they are probably feeling like they're drowning every day because they're balancing yachting and building a business and then personal lives and all that, everything on the side. It's intense and it takes a lot. And everyone sings and dances with the successes. What they don't see is the long nights, the early mornings, the risk and the sacrifice. And I'm grateful to come on today because I get to talk about that and basically say, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. It is hard work. And like, if you're not ready to deal with that, then you're probably not going to have a business. So
Yeah,
That's true.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I think the beauty of Grand Yacht Crew, and I'm sure we'll get into this later in the podcast, we all know, and a lot of our viewers who are yachties know, the yachting industry, it can be such a social place, but it's also extremely isolating and very lonely in the sense that you're away from your people, your real people, like your family, your friends, you're missing really important moments, events, birthdays, weddings. And you make those connections on some vessels if you're lucky to have friends that become family, but it doesn't happen all the time, and it is very rare. And I feel like Grand Yacht Crew, I mean, Solic as well, in a fitness aspect, that's what you're trying to do, right? Like, connect people, make that world not seem so isolated. And we're all feeling the same. So why don't we, connect and talk about it? Yeah, I can't wait to see what you guys do. It is really exciting, and we're all really behind you on it.
awesome.
My question is, where do you find time to manage your fitness and your health and your mental health? So 3 in 1. Where do you find time for that?
So I guess the best way to answer this is take us back to my first Europe season when I started. Like when I had this crazy idea in my head of Grand Yacht Crew, and I saw the vision so clearly, and everyone thought I was crazy. And this was before WhatsApp groups, before networking, before any partnerships, before even an app. And I was just a deckhand on board a 34-meter San Lorenzo in Italy, and we were about to dive into the Europe season, and it started ramping up, doing charters. And the big thing at that time was, God, I was snacking so much. And Panos, shout out Panos. He is like one of the best chefs I've ever come across. I'm sure you'll get to see this. And he loved feeding me, and everyone in my family me like a bin chicken because I will always eat the leftovers and feed. Like I'm notorious for it. And it was the same in the Navy, but many years ago I'd always be like hounding food. But when I got into the Europe season, I had this big drive to be like, right, I wanna get fit. I want to get in the best shape of my life. This is the best job I've had. And I had this idea of the business that I was obsessed with. And I was like, God, how am I going to pull this off? Because you're working like 16-hour days most days, and you just don't stop. And your day is governed by what the guests are doing. Sometimes they want to get up at 6 a.m. Sometimes they get up at 9. But if your break's at 3 and then they decide, oh, we want to move the boat, it's just all over the place. So, and crew will know as they're watching this and they're thinking, yeah, I'm knee deep in it. What I found was I would just always, I'd have like non-negotiables. I would do some sort of activity every day. Obviously being a decky, I'd usually be up nice and early. I'd just get up an extra half an hour earlier. I used to love getting up crack of dawn, swimming ashore from the rock anchor, going on a 5K run, getting back, swimming back on board, and then diving straight into the wipe down. And that was my fitness, and it was actually the best way to just get free from the yacht because everyone's asleep. And I'd get my fitness in, and I'd set some PBs. My Strava was like popping off because I was in different locations every day. I was like, this is sick, getting loads of pictures. And then I found I got fit through that. But then there was times where we couldn't do that. And what I tend to do is I'd go into the engine room and do some press ups and sit ups and just non-negotiably set in time for it. And it was the same with my business. Like would have a break, and instead of going down and getting in my cabin, turning a light off and lying down with an alarm in 19 minutes and 30 seconds, just watching the clock, not able to nap, which is what everybody does, I would I would go to the bridge and I'd sit with the captain. I'd be like, "Hey, can I just get on my laptop?" And I'd just start writing up a business case and I'd start doing market research. And all my crew were taking a piss out of me. They were like, "Oh, Nick's building his empire." But I was so fixated that I was like, "No, I am. And in the years to come, you'll see that this will come into fruition." And I'm doing it. And I locked in. And it wasn't the most sustainable thing, so I don't recommend it because I was knackered. I definitely had a few days where I was like, "Nah, not trading today, not doing any planning today." But you just set time when you can and you
Mm,
accept it when you can't, because yachting takes priority when you're on a boat, always. And you just have to accept it. And sometimes you'll get time for fitness, sometimes you won't. But as long as you're consistently taking it when you can, then I think you're on the right tracks.
I like what you mentioned there. You mentioned quite a few important key notes when it comes to like making sure you get that movement in to
Mm,
prioritize your own fitness and your own health, but also your mental health. So you're giving that, first of all, time to
mhm.
yourself. So getting away from the yacht. You made the time to get up extra half an hour early. So you prioritize these things, which is super important. And then making sure that prioritizing them, and you also knew your body, like listening to your body and saying, shit, I'm fucked today. I'm absolutely knackered. I can't do it. I need to take a break. That's also really
Yes.
important. And a lot of people forget how important it is to rest the body physically, because we can keep going and you keep going. And then you get to a stage in yachting in like a season, end of the season, you haven't given yourself a break. You're
Yeah.
absolutely burnt out. Like you've hit a stage of almost chronic fatigue because you're so done from all the stress and
Yeah.
all those physical hours that you've done.
I think it's on that point as well, yachting is a burnout culture. The way
mm.
it works is crew are just expected to deliver. Deliver first, think about how knackered you are after, and get on with it. Worry about if you got to complain about it, complain later when it's after it's been, and
Yeah.
then we'll figure out how to fix it. That's just the reality. And people who say, "Oh, it's not like that. You're not being managed." Like, it's the reality.
Yeah.
Most of the boats I've worked on are like that because you're in busy charters. It's very demanding, and nothing really usually goes to plan because things change all the time. But understanding when you're burning out is so important. And it ties in fitness and business are very similar because you really have to plan and do it properly and look after yourself in the process. Otherwise, you just run yourself into the ground. When I was in the Navy, we'd set big goals for, aspiring to run a marathon but then you're working full time and you're in demanding environments and you would burn yourself out because your mates beside you would be going further than you and you want to compete, and it's
Mm,
similar in yacht. Sometimes people are fitter than you and able to sustain it for longer, but you can't keep up. But that's
yeah.
fine. Take a break, chill out, reset. Sometimes resting for a few days is actually the best way to find clarity, not just in fitness, but also in business. Like, I'd rather take 2 days off and then do 4 hours of fantastic work than work 12 hours a day every day and just look back and be like, oh, I'm knackered and I've not done
Yeah.
anything. So,
Didn't really get anything done. I think that's
yeah.
really important, and it takes a long time for people to learn that. Like we're often Nat and I and Tom, we're often trying to educate clients, and yachties who are used to running on 100 miles an hour, operating
And
on pure adrenaline only. Yeah, guilty.
basically not.
Um, yeah, trying to
Stop
educate.
defining me, Christy.
I feel personally attacked. But yeah, trying to educate these yachties that it's equally as important as the putting time into business, as the going to the gym and doing your fitness. It balances each other out, and you can't have one without the other. So yeah, it's super important. Something I wanted to ask before we move on to Grand Yacht Crew, which I'm sure you're very excited to talk about. I can feel the passion through the computer. But before we do move on, obviously you've got a background in the Navy. You moved into the super yacht industry, traveled across the world, and then started a very successful business very quickly. Do you think your experience and background in the Navy shaped you for kind of having that drive and that yes mentality, I will do it? Do you think that came from the Navy, or is it something you've always had?
I think it's my whole life. I find it sounds cliche, but it's not. I grew up in a town called Blackpool in England. We grew up quite poor, and going through school and living through that economy experience was difficult. And then when I got to a certain age where I was like, right, am I going down the uni path? But I was working and renting at a young age, and I was really in survival mode. And it was like a case of, well, actually, I joined the Navy to get out of that. And
Mm,
that, my journey stems way back to then, really. I was I was working my arse off, surviving, didn't have the luxuries that most people have. And I found the Navy as my escape from that. It gave me a new life. And then even through, to 8 years in the Navy, there was just so many different chapters along the way where I grew, and I love public speaking. You put me in front of a group of 400 people and I'll own the stage. Like it's something that comes second nature to me. And words definitely flow easy for me now, but God knows they definitely didn't when I was 19 years old in those like briefing rooms in front of captains, stuttering my words and panicking, sweating profusively and freaking out like I don't know what I'm doing. But you learn and you grow along the way, and my journey's been fantastic, and I hope one day I can get it all down in writing, because there's been so many amazing things, from doing rescue ops in the Atlantic to seizing drugs in the Indian Ocean, serving off the coast of Iran in heightened pressure, what we're seeing now. And I've done all these things. And then you come to the chapters in Australia, working on farms in Queensland to get my visa, going job to job, working free on yachts to get the good yacht job, and then doing seasons, moving Europe. It's just been wild. And I think every stage of that journey has helped me. Like I studied business at uni part-time while I was in the Navy. And the studies that I was doing then I'm doing for real now, and it
Mhm.
helps. So every single chapter of my life has helped me in some sort of way. And what I'm doing now is just bringing all those chapters together, and I'm executing, and it's great. But I've still got so much to learn. By no means am I sat here thinking, "Yep, I'm all over this." Like there's so much that when you become a CEO and you start recognizing every aspect and hat you've got to wear, you start to realize what you're good at, what you're bad at. But that's where you build a team, and you get people who are better than you, and then you get them, you delegate, and you do your best not to tread on toes and say, hey, like, letting go of your baby is hard, and it's exciting. But yeah, in short, my chapters in the Navy 100% made me who I am today, but also continued growth along the way. Like yachting journey has taught me so much. Joined my first yacht and I didn't know what a chamois was, and I felt so embarrassed because you don't use chamois in the Navy. But I had like at least 600 days at sea under my belt, and I'm joining my first boat. I'm all over this, and I got there, I looked at all the products, and I was like, oh my god. So you're always learning, and I'm still learning today. I just think the rate of learning is a lot faster now, because of the growth I've had over the years. But yeah, I'm very grateful for my career in the Navy, and those who worked with me through those years. I'm grateful for them as well, because they taught me a lot along the way.
Absolutely love your passion for life. The way that you speak, seriously, the way that you speak about your journey and your experiences is just this huge passion, and it burns through you, and it's so contagious. I just love listening to how how much you love everything that you've done, even though it can be hardship and it can be difficult. You
Yeah.
you explain your life, and it's pretty inspiring.
Super inspiring.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've now been in the yachting industry for 3 or 3.5 years, and you've had these people doubting you, building your empire while you're on the bridge, building Grand Yacht Crew essentially. At what point did you feel like it was time to step away from yachting and go all in?
We had I had a seasonal contract in Europe, and when I came to the end of the Europe season, I pitched the yacht owner, and I came to him and said, I'm not looking for investment. I want to know your perspective on this, because you've got no bias towards me. I want to know what you think. And at this point in his head, he was like, oh, he's just a deckhand who cleans the windows. But little did he know I'm a qualified project manager. I've studied business for years, and I absolutely love this stuff. So sat down, showing him my full project brief, my execution plan, my business case, my financial planning, had projections, everything, all the spreadsheets made, because I'm a proper little geek like that. And he was blown away, and he was like, "This is going to cost you a fortune to pull off." And I was like, "Yeah, I know, but look, this is the forecast for that." And then he asked several questions, and I thought I was going into that, and he was going to tell me everything that I hadn't thought of, but he came into it and he asked like several questions, and I had answers to all of them. And it gave me that confidence that I was like, I think I'm onto something here, and I know how to do it. And then I basically went from that. And instead of pursuing further yachting in Europe, I kind of had the realization that if I do this, I need to be available, and I need to give it time and energy.
Right.
And basically, what I did was I decided to come back to Australia, because, Christy will probably back me on this. Yachting in Australia is a lot easier than yachting in Europe. And both are amazing, but it's a lot more laid back in Australia, less demanding, as opposed to like the big 16-hour days in Europe and sleepless nights and moving coast to coast. Whereas here it's very commercial, charter, day work. So I knew that I could work full time and have the capacity to continue planning, start building, start executing. And I knew that I could freelance a bit and take time off. And I had my family as a safety net in Australia. So I could basically come to Adelaide, spend a couple months planning and working. And then when you have to sort out yourself financially, you just go back to yachting in Sydney or Gold Coast and you just get back to work, top the bank up, come back. So managing finances was a big thing. And I found having the time, it was like 2 years ago when I did this. So I left Europe, decided, right, Australia is where I'm going to build this properly. And then I was chopping in and out of yachting for about a year and a half. And now we're here today where I've fully stepped out so I can run this properly. So yeah, it's not easy. It's definitely not easy to do. A lot of burnout phases like what we were touching on earlier, but you just keep going and it's been paying off, that's for sure.
So basically, what I need to do is living in Australia.
Then we can all do podcasts at the same time.
Exactly, and then we can all have an easier yachting lifestyle.
And when I was a deckhand on sailing yachts in Australia in my younger years, my uniform was literally a bikini top and like denim shorts. It was so chilled. It was like, yeah. And then I got to Europe to like 136-meter yacht, and we had I think we had 6 different uniforms for like different occasions and neckerchiefs, and it was ridiculous. I was like,
my gosh, get me to Australia. It's gonna get a tan.
yeah, come on over, guys. It's the life.
Yeah, Christy knows I'm gonna be down there one day.
I think it's very clear to us and our viewers how driven and organized and prepared you were. So I'm sure you had a perfect plan in place, whether that went to plan or not. I'm sure it didn't, but
do you ever get scared?
Oh, terrified. Scared of, I think it's fear of failure though. Like you just don't, you commit so much and people invest in you and you expose yourself when you put things out to the world. And especially me in this situation, I put my whole model out to the industry. There's nothing stopping people from copying me. There's nothing stopping people from, like doubting me or saying, oh, this isn't going to work or fighting against it. Like I'm fully exposed and I'm terrified of this vision not coming alive. But I know that I would rather pursue that because it's a bigger fear to me waking up when I'm 40 and wondering, oh, what if I did actually pull off Grand Yacht Crew? Like, I want to be 40 and even if it doesn't work, at least I know that I gave everything to it. And yeah, I'll be able to sleep hopefully okay at that point.
That's so interesting. Sorry.
Do you mind me asking how old are you now, Nick?
29. I turned 30 in 2 weeks, actually. So yeah, R.I.P.
Happy birthday.
Dude, that's when your life starts, is when you turn 30. That's what I've been told. Perfect. Not a day over 25, Christy.
Thank you.
Nick, I find it quite interesting what you said about when you wake up when you're 40, you'll be more upset about the fact that you haven't tried it. We spoke to Tom on one of our episodes where he spoke about if he didn't give something a go now while he's able to, he would be really upset with himself when he was older, when he's not able to do it. So I think also building something now, you're going to go through all these curveballs, like you said, and you're just dealing with them. And just being able to deal with them and under that pressure is something that maybe the Navy and the yachting could have taught you, I think, maybe. I'm not sure. Maybe part of your personality. But I do think the industry that we work in really does push for us to understand how to deal with pressure and stressful environments where we can't escape. You're stuck in this environment and that's it. And you got to make sure that you can get through that day. Otherwise, you're still going to have to get through the day because you're there.
Yeah, you're still going to carry on.
But yeah.
I also think there's probably, I can guarantee actually, there's a lot of listeners that have maybe followed your journey. And if not, they probably will after the podcast. And they've seen what you've done with Grand Yacht Crew and now might be hearing how you've achieved that in such a short amount of time. And you'll probably be a very big inspiration to a lot of people. And hearing that, you know, you also have fear, you've also had setbacks, you know, it puts into perspective that, you know, it happens to all of us. And as long as you have the tools in your toolbox to, you know, handle that, like Nat mentioned, you know, you can get through it. And if you really want to, you will. So moving on from that, like, what are we here for? We want to hear about Grand Yacht Crew. We want to share it with our listeners. So tell us when it all kind of started, how long has it been going on for, and where are you at now?
So I came up with the idea when I came into yachting, and it first, like, it stemmed out of my failures and like hardships that I was going through in yachting. Like I moved to Australia thinking I'd just get on a full-time permanent job with no prior experience, and you know, didn't have the tickets, and it was just flying blind from the get-go. And but I came in from the military, and I came into the industry. I had no network, no understanding of who the recruitment agencies were, no understanding of the different communities, the different businesses that can support me, a career guideline, like a pathway. Like I was flying blind, and that was so unknown to me because in the Navy, everything is structured and organized. Like, you know where you're going in 10 years when you're in the Navy, no matter what your plans are. Like, there's always a system and structure in place. And coming into this industry, it just felt like the wild, wild west. And I was like, whoa, like, what is going on? And then started just kind of ruminating on that idea and just thinking like, right, well, there should be a system in place for this. And surely there is by now. Like, and it just clicked to me that, well, all we'd have to do is build a platform and connect all the dots and put everyone under the same roof, similar to LinkedIn, basically. Because I noticed the industry doesn't really use LinkedIn. They just use loads of Facebook groups and WhatsApp groups. And you know, and then, you know, my journey continued. Still had the idea, but I was chasing being a deckhand, and you know, along the way, it was hard finding jobs. It was only 2 years ago I got scammed, and that's part of the reason why I've built my app the way I have, because I was running out of money staying with a friend in the UK after chopping between seasons, and I was leaning into a full time, you know, work on a big boat in Europe. And then I got offered a job, did 2 interviews. My best mate at the same time was going through the same process for a similar sized vessel. So I was like, fuck, we're both making it. This is going to be great. And then, yeah, basically I booked the ticket through their agent to fly across to them, spent £1,000, which you don't do. Obviously, no one was guiding me. I had no mentors in yachting at this point. I'd only freelanced a bit. And got to the airport and it was a fake ticket. My mate flew off to Monaco. His was legit and mine wasn't. And then I was running out of money, and I was too embarrassed to go home that I rung my best mate from the Navy and I said, hey, can I stay at yours just while I figure this out? And then I borrowed money to fly back to Brisbane to go work in a yard doing 12 on, 12 off, just to regain the money and confidence that you know, yachting was for me. And I wanted to quit at that point, but I didn't. I just carried on. But that was a really hard time. And all these experiences, there's several more, not like that. That was probably the most extreme, but so many stages of my career, I can't help but compare it to the Navy. And in the Navy, there's always leaders, like, you know, career development experts who guide your career and show you what courses you need to do and where your career can go if you go down this path. Or like, even in yachting, if you want to build a business, like, there should be people to guide you through that and how to manage it through the day to day. But there isn't. And the ones that are out there, they actually are. They're just tucked away in different parts of the world and they're not fully seen. So what I want to do is I want to create a platform that houses the entire industry and brings us all into the light and shows the next Nick Santana who joins yachting that you can just join this platform and all of the answers are there. And all you have to do is just seize the platform and get amongst it, apply for the jobs, connect with the businesses within, connect with the crew within, and you'll have all the answers, basically. So their journey is a lot easier than my journey. And then in the years to come, the industry will be more connected, more supported, and more, you know, opportunistic, where people can become entrepreneurs, people can focus on their fitness, people can scale their careers rapidly into growth. That's what I want Grand Yacht Crew to be. And that's what I've been building. I started building the platform 9 months ago. It took 7 months to build. A month of messing around with Apple and Google trying to get approval, which was painful. And I think Crew will turn to it as a solution, not just for career development, but showcasing what you're getting up to. You know, show that you're going out with the crew and having a fun time. Show that you're training for a marathon. Show that you're building the business, and be surrounded by crew who are doing the same thing. And that's what we've built. And it wasn't easy. especially when you've got to raise capital. I raised 200 grand in, I think it was like 3 months. And through that time, I was unemployed, writing business plans, and I was borrowing money off my family to stay afloat. And really in the trenches, I was living on an air mattress at a mate's, just so I could secure an investor in Adelaide, and then secured an investor in London whilst doing FaceTimes at 3 a.m. to pitch project plans, and really just going through the trenches, but pulled it off. And then, right, we have a budget now, let's build. And then I got great vendors, great teams. We had marketing teams in Dubai, and development teams for IT in Melbourne and Bali. So we're all over the place, just constantly on Zoom, countless hours of working and collaborating. And I'm very pedantic and I'm very critical. I think the attention of detail comes from the Navy, where I'm just so obsessive, like with every fine detail. And my my lead developer would always say to me is, your vision isn't limited by your reality, it's limited by your budget. So unfortunately, we can't have all the features that Instagram has, but we'll get there eventually. Like, we just need a foundation to launch with. So we've done that. Very happy and proud of what we've built. But also the maniac entrepreneur in me is like, it's not good enough. Let's keep going. Like, what's version 2 look like? And we're already planning it now. We've got massive plans for scaling and what version 2 looks like, because you get feedback from crew and everybody wants the best. I'm launching a platform that's new, but similar to what we all know already. And I need to keep up with the likes of Meta now. And that's a real challenge, and it's daunting, and I'm scared of it, but I'm just going to keep working towards it. And if it takes a few years, it takes a few years. I'll get there eventually. So it's a networking platform for those who don't know. We have a job board built in. We partner with recruitment agencies. We'll be scaling those partnerships forward in the coming months. We partner with amazing companies like Salt Lake Fitness, Wave Wellness, Seakeeper Society, loads of amazing organizations that add value in different aspects of the lifestyle, basically. So whether it's fitness, career development, marine conservation, all these different spaces, we want to partner with all these organizations who add value to the industry and who support crew. And we want to shine a light on them, collaborate with them, and push them so they're really accessible for all the crew members who are joining the industry. And then, yeah, that's the pitch. Anyway, I've practiced it a few times.
Pretty good.
But yeah, that's it. We've built it. It's still work in progress. We're a foundation to build on. And yeah, we're opening partnerships from next week. So going to be speaking to a lot of exciting opportunities there. And we're hoping to build on version 2 in the coming months. So, it's very much tailored for crew and not so much just for the businesses. So yeah, that's it. Sorry, that's quite a lot. I get so passionate. I get lost in it sometimes.
No, that was a really good explanation, and I can see the passion, and it's how much you love what you're doing. And my favorite thing is going to be in a couple of years' time when you listen back on this podcast and you listen to what you said you wanted to build. I can tell you right now, I believe 100%, just the way that you speak, that it's going to come true. I already know. I can already feel it. And you're going to listen back on this podcast and be like, yep, everything I fucking said. Everything I fucking said.
Told you. Empire.
Yeah. I love it.
Told you, crew. You were laughing at me when I was on the bridge.
And that's the thing, like, people forget, like, you must never, like, let the opinions of others affect how you're feeling in terms of what you're wanting.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we'll talk at the end of the podcast where people can find you, Nick, and download the app and get involved in Grand Yacht Crew. But before we move on to that, as we mentioned, there's probably a lot of yachties out there that are young entrepreneurs that are very inspired. They maybe want to do this. They've thought about it. They're doubting themselves, or maybe they're listening to those other crew members that are trying to stop them, hold it back. What would be a piece of advice that you would say to, a crew member that's thinking about starting something of their own?
I think there's two bits of advice that really helped me along my journey is test it first. Like, you've really got to test the waters for your idea to see if people are going to like it, because there's nothing worse than if you put all this time and energy into something and then you release it to the people and they don't want it. You're supplying no demand, and it's an issue. And what I found was started WhatsApp groups intentionally. It wasn't about starting WhatsApp groups. It was like, I want to build an app, but I need to see that there's an audience here. And we started WhatsApp groups, and in the beginning they were fantastic. They were so engaging and flourishing, hundreds of people joining every day. And we ended up with 15 different groups and people engaging and adding value. It was brilliant. And I remember when I started them, I was nervous about getting 30 people into a group. And then, months later, we got like 4,500. And I'm like, right, we don't know how to manage this. So then we went quiet because we started building an app. And the point I'm making is test your concept first. Like, figure out who your target audience is, put it out to them, see what they think, see what feedback you're getting, because instantly you'll know if you've got a justifiable case for a business. Do they need this? Do they want it? Why? Understand what they're thinking, and then let that influence how you build it as well. Whether it's a service, a product, whatever it is, always listen to the audience that's going to be paying for it or receiving it or gaining value from it. I guess in the early days, I had mentors in business who would always say to me, look, I love your concept, but like, this is your passion and your bias. You need to get feedback from other people. And that's where the financial security group got built, because I was getting advice from captains, and the same with the career development group. They're like, yeah, I'd love to know how to transfer my tickets, or I'd love to know how to get my first property to rent out, because I see all these yachties doing it and I don't know how to do it because I'm too busy. Rah, rah, rah. And it's like, well, that helped me build the community hub, because I was like, right, well, people need this. And I wish I had that. God, like, I wish I had a mentor showing me how to get loads of properties. Well, now we have a group where I partner with companies who do that. So, yachties have the solution, and I'm just bringing the solution. That's it. I'm not delivering the service. I just bring the solution, and we can connect and have a platform that has that answer. So definitely test it with the audience to begin with. And then the next thing is, my business partner, Daryl, always tells this to me, and he's a firm believer in it. It's the advice of signal versus noise. And there's so much noise, and you'll have heard it. It's a common concept in business. And when you're the founder of anything, you are the most informed person out of everyone. Doesn't matter how big your team is. Right now, I've got a team of 6. My team was as big as 14 at one point through this project. And when we had vendors on top of my team, and managing all those people, building a product, chasing an idea, securing funding, there's just so much noise, and you can get emotional and get lost in that noise sometimes. And when you start reacting emotionally, you start making mistakes. So slow down, step back, drown out the noise. If you're dealing with something that is literally not going to matter in the next 24 hours, push it to one side, deal with it later, and focus on what needs to happen now. And that advice, I believe, will get you to the next level, because that's what got me to launch. If I focused on all the noise, I wouldn't have been able to build the platform and survive at the same time. But I've managed to do that. And now on to the next problem. Let's go.
So, on our podcast, Nick, we have one question that we ask all of our guests, and you can take this from any experience, as you've had so many, whether it's the Navy or yachting or being a business owner now. If you could name one person that's been kind of your biggest mentor or influence in your journey so far, who would that be and why?
It would be my business partner, and he's my cousin as well. Like, I very much strategically built the company in the family for a reason. I know he'll probably laugh at this when he sees it. He's supported me when I moved over from the Navy to Australia, and he's been a soundboard and a best friend for me for the past few years since we reconnected fully. Like, he got involved with the business because he believes in me, believes in the vision, and really believes in what we're building together. And he's 10 years older than me. He's got all this experience, and he knows how to handle that noise a lot better than I do. And he has a perspective outside of yachting, so he can look at the business critically from an operational standpoint. And I'm so passionate because I am a yachty and I believe in this project, and I want it to work no matter what. But sometimes I do get lost in the noise and the stress, and I turn to him as a soundboard, and for good reason, because he's a mentor, and I brought him into the business to not only be a mentor, but be a business partner with me, and we can build it together. And whenever times get hard for me, you need to have that person to turn to, because you are, you're not being realistic if you think you're going to have a smooth ride in entrepreneurship. There are going to be days where you want to hang in the towel and you want to quit, but that's where you need your mentors to guide you through your thinking, because you'll be looking at things and you're so invested that you're so tunnel visioned and you think that there's no other solution, but they're looking at it from like a controlled measure and they care about you. And having that support and that mentorship will just help you get on the right track sometimes when you start swaying away from the path. And Daryl's been that guidance for me over the past few years. So very grateful to him.
So our final question for this podcast is, we wrap up with telling everyone where they can find you and where they can find information about Grand Yacht Crew.
So to find me, you can find me on Instagram, Nick Santana Rodaway, personally. We have a business Instagram as well, just at Grand Yacht Crew. You can find us at www.grandyachtcrew.com. And in there, you'll see the links to the Google Play Store and Apple App Store. And the main platform of choice, obviously, is the Grand Yacht Crew app. Download the Grand Yacht Crew app. It's available in Apple App Store for Apple phones, and then obviously Google Play Store for Android as well.
Awesome. Okay, so it looks like we're all going to be downloading the Grand Yacht Crew app if we haven't already
I
got
hope
it.
so, yeah.
Thank you for your time today. It's been amazing listening to your story and getting to know you a little bit better. And we can't wait to share this with all of our viewers and see where Grand Yacht Crew goes. We're very excited for you, and backing you all the way. Cool. Thank you so much, guys. And I'll talk to you soon. That's a wrap on today's episode.
Stay salty, stay strong, and keep moving with purpose. See you next time.